Welcome to episode 9, part 1 of the mini-series, The Biology of Meaning, exploring its clinical and philosophical foundations. The biology of meaning is not a fad, nor an alternative or complementary therapy. It is a clinical framework that proposes something radical. The symptom has biological, emotional, and adaptive meaning. This explanatory clinical approach was not born to oppose Western medicine, but to answer a question that it cannot fully address. Why does this body become ill in this way, at this moment, in this history? Origin and birth of the biology of meaning. The biology of meaning emerged at the end of the 20th century in the 1970s and 1990s, alongside the crisis of the reductionist biomedical model, due to dissatisfaction with purely mechanistic medicine and the repeated clinical observation of the same organ presenting the same type of conflict. The biology of meaning was born from the influence of ethology, neurobiology, psychosomatics, and the philosophy of nature. Main schools and currents. Biology of meaning, BDM, emerged when various practitioners in Western medicine from different fields began to observe undeniable patterns. Same life conflicts, same affected organs. Not by chance, not by mistake. A critical clinical perspective then arose, based on observation, biological coherence, and meaning. Thus, there is not a single biology of meaning but rather several currents with a common core. Reich Gerd Hamer, with his German New Medicine, introduced the so-called biological laws relating conflict, organ, and phase. A powerful structural clinical contribution that today demands ethical and contextualized use. Claude Sebach, it broadens the perspective to include personal history, life purpose, and chronobiology. The symptom is inscribed within a biography. It does not appear in isolation. Christian Flesch, biological decoding. It provides a clear pedagogical methodology for the clinical listening to conflict and its bodily expression. Biodescoding, Enrique Corbera et al. It integrates the symbolic reading of the symptom with beliefs, perception, and emotional experience. More accessible, more oriented toward a shift in consciousness, with a strong social impact. All these approaches agree on one essential point: the body does not lie. Contemporary integrative approaches. Today, the biology of meaning engages with, and is supported by other fields that reinforce its coherence. Traditional Chinese medicine, process, prevention, and energetic reading before injury. Psychoneuroimmunology, the interaction of emotion, the nervous system, and immunity. Epigenetics, the environment and experience modulate gene expression. Models of consciousness, Jung, Wilbur, integrative approaches levels of symptom interpretation beyond the physical body. This cross-pollination does not weaken the model. It makes it more solid, more verifiable, and more human. Contemporary authors and their contributions include Candace Pert, 1946 to 2013, with psychoneuroimmunology. Her central contribution: she discovered the role of neuropeptides as messengers between emotion, the nervous system, and immunity. She demonstrated that emotions are biological processes, not just psychological ones. It can be said that the mind is distributed throughout the body. She provided a scientific basis for the idea that an emotional conflict has a real biological correlate. She reinforced the idea that the body responds as an integrated system, not as isolated organs. Bruce H. Lipton with epigenetics. He demonstrated that the environment, perception, and stress modulate gene expression. Genetics is not a fixed destiny. Perception controls biology. He scientifically maintained that lived experience influences the body. He connected conflict, context, and biological response without genetic determinism. Antonio Damasio, with his work on the neuroscience of emotion, argues that emotions precede and organize reason. He posits that the body is central to decision-making and life regulation. He reinforces the idea that emotional biography is not secondary in health processes and supports a clinical approach where feeling matters as much as objective data. Ken Wilber, within the framework of integral models of consciousness, bridges the philosophical and clinical gaps. He proposes multiple levels of interpretation: biological, psychological, social, and symbolic. No single level can fully explain the whole. He provides a structure for integrating the biology of meaning, traditional Chinese medicine, TCM, and Western clinical practice. He avoids reductionism and simplistic interpretations of symptoms. These contemporary approaches demonstrate that health cannot be understood from a single level. The biology of meaning, TCM, epigenetics, psychoneuroimmunology, and models of consciousness converge on the same evidence. The body responds to lived experience. Don't forget that this mini-series complements the training of the same name at its 3 levels. Subscribe to the channel, like, comment if you wish, and share this video to raise collective awareness. Learn science with awareness because in health, knowledge is not neutral, it is vital.